The Rhonda Weiss Center for Accessible IDEA Data is a technical assistance data center that improves state capacity to provide IDEA data in formats that are accessible to everyone, including parents, students, and people with disabilities. This enhanced capacity equips decision makers and educators with the knowledge and insights needed to improve educational outcomes within and across their communities. In today's world, accessibility is often an afterthought, or in some cases, overlooked entirely. At the Weiss Center, accessibility comes first. We have adopted the nothing about us without us philosophy. From technical assistance delivery to technology development, we seek out the voices and experiences of people with disabilities to inform our work. One way in which the Weiss Center is accomplishing its mission is through ADAPT, our accessible data analysis and publishing tool. ADAPT is a modern, accessible tool that makes IDEA data easier to understand and interpret. It is freely available and, once installed in a state's cloud environment, can support both Part C and Part B datasets. ADAPT allows authorized state users to develop and publish fully accessible IDEA data reports, resulting in greater transparency and streamlined data analysis. In keeping with our inclusive philosophy, the initial design and development of ADAPT was guided by a range of end-user feedback across information gathering and usability research sessions. We engaged over 100 partners, experts, and people with lived experiences with disabilities to ensure that the concept design was accessible, user-friendly, and met the diverse needs of the community. Now, let's take a look at ADAPT in action.
This is a brief video demonstration of the ADAPT public viewer created by the Rhonda Weiss Center. This is what would be available to the public by states who implement ADAPT. Right now we are on the home page. We do have 6 frequently asked questions displayed on the home page, and then further to the bottom we have a view more frequently asked questions as well. It's important to keep in mind that we have implemented both accessibility and usability throughout every aspect of ADAPT, from its conception to design to development and implementation, and these meet and exceed both state and federal requirements such as Title II and Section 508. Now, the color schemes throughout the ADAPT tool are highly accessible. They use a very high level of contrast. And I also wanted to demonstrate through a screen reader used by individuals who are blind called JAWS, Job Access with Speech, how accessible this is. I'm going to go ahead and pull up all of the headings on this page.
JAWS version 2020.
And this lists it in a dialog box. And we have headings 1 through heading 2 through heading 3.
Ages, about frequent, what is the...
So it's very easy for an individual who is blind, for instance, to access this page and navigate it very effectively through the headings. And the same holds true for the links.
JAWS version 2000.
These are meaningful, non-duplicate links that are listed.
Not so. View, external link to Weiss homepage. External link to Ames homepage.
Very easy to use for someone who's blind and very accessible. Now I'm going to access the View More Frequently Asked Questions from the home page. And as this page implies, there are additional links here related to IDEA data. And then we also have another link here called Useful Links. And this link provides additional resources for parents, students, and researchers interested in learning more about IDEA-specific topics. All right, we're back on the home page, and I want to talk a little more about the built-in accessibility features here. If we move over to the left, on the left panel, we have several accessibility features here. The first one is text size. You can increase or decrease the text size to whatever preference is needed. This can also be done in the web browser. Spacing, we have compact spacing, cozy spacing, comfort, and extra comfort spacing. This provides ease of reading for specific individuals who find extra space more beneficial. And then the color themes. So for individuals who may be glare sensitive, for example, they could switch it to high contrast where we get yellow text on a black background, or dark where it is white text on a black background. And then we also have the option, which is very useful, of the different layouts. We've got the default layout, but we've got the single column layout that is really useful for mobile devices, for instance, or anyone that finds linearizing the information on the page of particular value. So now let's move into a sample report. And this specific sample report is the IDEA child count and settings. We'll go ahead and access that. And then we have different age groups here. We have all ages, ages birth through 2, and ages 3 or older. And then further to the right is a share link. So with this link, you can share that via text or email to anyone who may find this information of benefit. If we scroll down, there's some additional accessibility and usability features that make this very user-friendly. We have a few toggle switches here. The first one is explain. Let's go ahead and enable that. And what that does is gives a plain language summary, high-level overview of the information listed below. And then if we go to glossary, that gives additional granular information and detail on these categories. For example, home, community-based setting, other settings. So it's very explicit and clear on what these terms actually mean. And then we have the data option here as well. So this allows for the traditional table format, which is completely accessible for a screen reader user, high contrast, it opens in its own modal, and very easily understood. And then the bar graphs below as well are all highly accessible and usable, which are easily accessed through a screen reader or peripheral device tabbing through. So we have provided an overview of a single report. In the future, we fully anticipate many more reports generated by states implementing ADAPT.
And with these reports generated via ADAPT come a host of benefits. ADAPT automates your IDEA data accessibility, resulting in increased data transparency and internal efficiencies. With more accessible data comes broader data use. The reports generated via ADAPT are accessible and easy to understand, meaning their insights can now be gleaned by a more diverse community. As mentioned, ADAPT meets and exceeds both state and federal requirements, such as Title II and Section 508. With ADAPT handling your IDEA data accessibility needs, more resources are now available to focus on data use initiatives. The reality is, the children with disabilities of today will grow up to be the adults with disabilities of tomorrow. The Weiss Center's commitment to improving IDEA data accessibility is not to check a box, but rather to help initiate a cultural shift. Remember, it's about people, not compliance.